What is FMEA?
Failure Mode Effects Analysis. It's brilliant. Take a closer look. It's not just for manufacturing environments. It can be used here, and even more importantly, here in management settings. Let me talk you through it with a really useful FMEA template and several practical examples. Firstly, if you're the sort of person that dislikes spreadsheets or templates, please relax, as I'm going to make this as simple as possible. This template has been designed so that it will just flow for you, nice and simple. Please read the blog post for the background information on this, and notice that the top tips are in this template too. This tutorial is focused on the template and actual examples, as I find that this is the best way to learn. I want this to be a practical process for you to use all the time. Note that you have a blank template ready for you for your first FMEA. Download the file for free from the body of the blog post. I've designed this template so that you can use this one template for both design and process purposes. I'll explain the differences in the upcoming examples. As with most great management tools, the FMEA is supporting you with a few things. One, to get a much better understanding of your situation. It helps you to think things through. Two, it helps you to prioritise as well. And then this results in less risk, better quality, better efficiency and productivity. Okay, let's get started with the main template. Don't think about the size of this. Just flow from one column to the next. Eat the elephant one bite at a time, and it's a most simple process. I'll explain each column as we work through the practical examples. Let's start with the design example. I've outlined a design example here for you for a departmental meeting, as this links to a previous blog post that you might want to review on the 5 whys process. Let's pretend that this meeting has never happened before, and you're now going to use this FMEA template to design a fabulous meeting. Always start with your function process step and build from here. These first 5 references in green are all part of the design of this meeting. These are all essential elements that you have to consider, in this case for the design of a meeting, e.g. who do we need as key stakeholders, what's the scope, etc. In this first column, keep in mind what do our stakeholders or customers expect of us in this area of work. Next, I like to get the team on the same page by getting everyone to consider and agree what the critical quality factors are for each step. So for the stakeholders, ideally, attendees are not just from the right areas of the business, but they actually want to attend. The last thing you want is a social loafer in the team. The next column is where you need a little bit of common sense. Because we're combining design and process into one all-encompassing template, when using a design FMEA, in this column your focus is on what do you want, because nothing's failing yet, because nothing's happened yet, because we're still in the design phase. Whereas a process FMEA will typically be looking at failures that are actually happening. For our stakeholder example, what we want is a rounded group that's knowledgeable and has the capacity to work well together. Next, we look at the possible causes of failure, something going wrong. An example here for our stakeholders is that although they've agreed to join our meeting, they don't actually show up for the meeting. That is the cause of our failure. The effects of that then follow into the next column. In this case, if too many members don't show, then the meeting is not quorate and no decisions can get made. You can see how this process just flows, it's easy. But at the same time, you can think things through properly, usually down to levels that you never usually do. And that's the real beauty of this. Now the next column takes us deeper still. How do we detect the failure? In this example, we would detect at the time of the meeting because we'll simply see an empty chair. So detection in this case is easy and obvious. Then we flow on to control. How do we control this step so that we not only identify the failure, but wherever possible stop it from happening in the first place? So in our example here, a control could be to send an automated reminder 1 day and 1 hour before the meeting takes place. The next 3 columns are where we look to score severity, probability and ease of detection. These 3 scores are multiplied together to generate the risk level score for that particular step. We've built some simple rules and scores for each of these 3 areas. These should work well for many of you, but again, use your common sense and change them to fit better to your organisation or industry where appropriate. Make sure that you get the whole team to agree these scores and descriptions before you begin the FMEA process. In our stakeholder example, I've scored a 4 for severity. If you can't make decisions, you're wasting everybody's time, and I would argue that the service is unfit. It's a 4. Probability. Well, we're still in design mode here, but I would argue, based on experience of other meetings, proxy data, that this probability is occasional, i.e. it certainly happens more than it should. So it gets a score of 3. Detection is an interesting category to score. I've scored this a 3 because the controls might detect a failure, i.e. the automated reminders might help to ensure that more people turn up on time, so it's a 3. So our stakeholder design step results in a risk score of 36. Not bad, you might be thinking. That control of automated reminders is never normally done, and you're quite pleased that the FMEA process has already improved your ways of working. Great. But let's push on and see if we can do even better. The automated reminder control might help, but it's certainly not foolproof. Get your team to undertake a bit of creative thinking, maybe use a mind map exercise in Iowa for this. What else could be done? Maybe the departmental PA could literally call every member in advance and get verbal confirmation of their attendance. There could be many possible controls, you just have to think about the options. Maybe you want to research these options or alternatives and give these tasks to a member of the team with a deadline. Then for each enhancement you can score again to see what the impact on risk would be if you did implement the extra control. I'm hoping now that you can see how easy the process flows and how easy it is to manage. So let's move on to the process FMEA example. Here the meeting has been running for some time and we know that there are a number of failure points in the process. The first one is that the agenda is never well thought through in advance of the meeting. The critical quality factor here is that you need time to do this properly. The failure is often they spend far too long on trivial matters and never have enough time for the important things. The cause of this failure is that the chair Bob never has time to plan the agenda properly. The effect is that very few actions get completed and usually the focus is on the wrong areas. It's easy to detect these failures because it's a live event and it's obvious that the meeting is not achieving its objectives as set out in the terms of reference. Note, just because these 2 example steps have both been easy to detect, don't assume that all failures are easy to detect. It's not always easy to detect a member of the team that's very unhappy and is not achieving their full potential. In terms of this example and controls, there aren't any. This keeps happening month in, month out. Note the scores: 3 for severity, the team are dissatisfied, 5 for probability, it's happening every time, and 1 for ease of detection, it's obvious. I want you to notice something important here. Here's an example of where you need your common sense. The scores are useful to help you review, prioritise and mitigate risk in your management processes. But notice the low score on this detection. This results in quite a low overall score. Just because the detection is easy doesn't mean that it's not a major problem. It is a major problem because people are seeing it but consistently doing nothing about it. So even though it's a relatively low score, it's so important that it gets prioritised. Improvements are certainly required. Get your team to think through the options and select the best ones. Take a look at the 5 Whys blog post for some extra information on how you can generate more insights and ideas to achieve this. Then, after your proposed improvements, look to see how your score improves. I've thrown in another FMEA example here, one that's closer to the manufacturing environment. Take a look at this in your own leisure, as now you can see how easy it is to follow the flow and the process. My intention here has been to show you how the FMEA process can be used in management and service settings as well as in manufacturing. I hope I've managed to do that and that I've managed to inspire you to have a go for yourselves. I believe that you'll get a lot out of it and I really hope that you do.